In this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how you can safely and securely store the bullion you've purchased either from me or another bullion dealer. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Steph. I'm from allocation.com, and what we do is help people, businesses, and super funds invest over $50,000 into precious metals. I've been in the bullion industry for over 5 years as both a customer and a manager, and now I'm partnered with a reputable bullion dealer. I make these videos completely for free for everybody under the $50,000 threshold, purely because I love the industry and I want more people, more normal people, to be able to invest in this industry safely and more reliably. Now, we've talked about how a bullion dealer works on the business side. We've talked about how to buy and sell as a customer, as well as how those actions affect a bullion dealer's net position, or as well as all the regulatory stuff the bullion dealer has to follow. What about storage? You've got your bullion, you've taken receipt of it, you don't want to sell it anytime soon. What about storage? Where do I keep it? It's a physical product like the one in front of me. So where do I put it? Well, you've got some options. You can either take receipt of the stuff immediately if it's a smaller order, or after a while if it's a larger order, in person, in store. You can do that. You run the risk the moment you step outside of the bullion dealer of being robbed, obviously, because it's a physical product. Now, not anybody's going to be knowing that you have that on you. Most people don't even know what bullion is. So it's not a very low risk. Another thing you can do is get the product shipped to you, like I mentioned before. You could keep it once it's shipped. I'm talking once you've picked it up and once you've received the shipping, you could store it at your home. That's your first option. Your first option is self-storage at your home. You can choose to declare it in your home and contents insurance. Just know that the fees involved in that are extremely large and it will cost you a pretty penny once you've declared it. You can choose not to declare it, but you run the risk if it gets stolen. Tough luck, it wasn't insured. So you can store it at your home. That's an option I would recommend for the majority of people with anything under 100 grand in their possession. I like to use what I essentially call the comfort limit. If you've got a lot of bullion at your house, and if somebody knocks on your door at 11 p.m., if the first thing you think is, oh crap, I've got a lot of value in here, I hope that's nobody that's trying to rob me. If you're constantly worried about the amount of bullion that you've got stored at your home, I would strongly recommend getting it stored at a separate vault, a separate entity. That's the second option that you've got. The second option that you've got is you can store the bullion at a certified and trustworthy vault, like the one I'm partnered with at the Melbourne Vault. There's multiple options when it comes to storage. There's private storage where you and you alone, or you and some other people alone, have the access to put stuff and take stuff from that storage unit. The second option is a thing called custodial storage. Now, custodial storage basically means that my other partner, the bullion dealer, will be able to drop and take down bullion at your request and only your request whenever you'd like. This is something I recommend for higher value clients, people spending millions of dollars with us in order to make their process a lot easier. The custodial option is also insured, which is inclusive of the price, as well as it is audited every year. So this is the perfect product for self-managed super funds. We get guys who convert their super funds or have existing super funds, self-managed super funds, with my other partner, a law firm that I'm partnered with. When we get guys who convert and wish to purchase bullion and precious metals through their self-managed super fund, there is separate steps that need to go into it. I will need some extra documentations that I need to hand to my partners, as well as the government requires you to yearly audit your super fund, your self-managed super fund, and as well as insure it. The government also requires you to insure it as well. Now, this solution, the custodial solution, is a complete hands-off. Highly recommend it for anybody over 100, 150 grand, roughly 150 grand. It becomes cost effective when you've got a stack that large, especially if you're not comfortable having that amount of funds at your residence. You can, especially with self-managed super funds, you certainly can. I wouldn't recommend it. So that's why we've obviously partnered with the Vault and the lawyers in order to make sure everything is done correctly. So you can store it, and we offer plenty of storage solutions in order for you to safely have a receipt of that metal. The third option, which is something that I don't particularly recommend, is something called an allocated option, a pool allocated option. The bullion dealer that I'm partnered with has listed it as a pool allocated option. Essentially, how that works is you give us money, right? Or the bullion dealer money, which I will transfer to the bullion dealer. They will go and then purchase that product, and you will get, wait for it, a paper receipt of the gold. This is why I don't typically recommend it. When we were structuring the services we wanted to provide, pool allocated was not something that we wanted to provide. And I know for a fact the owner of the bullion dealer that I'm partnered with wasn't really keen on providing it. The only reason he did it was purely because some customers desperately wanted it. So I don't really recommend that solution because you essentially get free storage. You've got exposure to the spot price because that bullion dealer will go and then purchase the metals, and that essentially funds their inventory. You fund their inventory. You give them money, they buy that inventory or that silver or whatever you've bought, and then they sell it to customers and keep a threshold and rotate it. I never recommend it purely because buying bullion is about buying physical bullion. If it's not in your hands or if it's not in your ability to access it, you run the risk of counterparty risk. And if that business goes bankrupt, that's tough luck. You've lost that amount of funds. So I always, 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 always recommend if you're purchasing bullion to buy the physical product. Even the guy who runs the bullion dealer that I'm partnered with completely agrees, and he sells it as a product. We typically never push it to customers. It's important that you're educated and you're aware of this option if it best suits you, but we never typically recommend it. So the two main methods that you've got, you can store it at your home and you can choose it to insure it or not. There are repercussions for both, either costs and financial costs up front or costs later if anything goes wrong and it's stolen. The second option is you can store it at our partner, the Melbourne Vault, which I can help arrange, especially for larger clients, which I would recommend only for larger clients because the costs are rather large. The two options you've got in regards to the storage is private storage, where only you have access, where you will physically have to turn up, or custodial storage, where we as the entity ourselves and the bullion dealer itself will be able to drop the stuff down for you at your request, and they can only receive the goods or take back the goods once you've notified the vault and you'd like the stuff brought back up and sold. Essentially, they're the two options. You've got to pick one that best suits you. I typically recommend anybody under the $100,000 should store it at their house if they've got someplace safe. If you're renting and you can't actually put a safe in the wall, maybe vaulting is a solution that I would recommend to you.